at Microsoft, we are working with governments to help, enable them to succeed and helping to enable the governments to help vulnerable individuals succeed and really be their best selves and live their best lives.
And Ngozi, you made a very important point, which is that when we hear the phrase vulnerable people, vulnerable populations, depending on the circumstances, depending on the moment in time, that can include any one of us. And so
Yes.
as a former mayor, when we talk about smart cities, when we talk about government, we've got to ask ourselves the big question: how can we leverage technology so that technology can connect first and foremost with vulnerable people, vulnerable populations, and then leverage that technology to help them in different ways? Can you give us an understanding of how that can be done?
Yes, I would love to do that. So I would love to emphasize, first of all, that we really help enable these government agencies to streamline their work, right? And also, so they're a better service to those vulnerable within the community. And Microsoft helps in multiple different ways, and we have helped different, whether it's agencies. I can give some examples. One of the first examples that come to mind is really how we help build a more agile and mobile workforce using the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services as a very key example here. We really helped them to break down silos. So for example, they needed help, or we were called in to help maintain the connection between the children, the families, the support system in general, right? And the caseworkers and so on and so forth. And with, in partnership, we're able to develop a Teams youth app, which provides remote and streamlined communication across the different stakeholders involved in the child's care. So one of the impacts of that is what would have taken like maybe 10 to 12 calls to actually schedule a meeting instead took 2 Teams chats or 2 Teams messages to get the same results. So really helping with efficiency from that perspective. So technology can be leveraged to help with efficiency. Another way that it can be used is another key example was from Samhall, which is a Swedish social services organization, and they needed help to really help place people with disabilities and help them find work. And Microsoft came in there and helped, with some of the inefficiencies that they faced using one of our platforms, Microsoft Power Platform, and we helped from that perspective as well. So really helping to automate their processes, taking things that would typically take 5 days down to 2 days, or 30 minutes down to 5 minutes total. So really helping with real life instances and real life challenges that government agencies, that individuals are struggling with around the world.
Ngozi, in the examples you just gave, you really pointed out how, on the one hand, government can make its operations more efficient for the governmental workforce, streamline processes, all at the same time while you're scaling government services, while you're making government services more accessible to constituents. And I'm just wondering, can you help us understand what's the key to achieving that balance of streamlining and making government operations more efficient while also making government services more accessible?
I would say the key for us at Microsoft is really understanding who the customers are and making sure that the focus of our, of the solutions that we're coming up with, the focus of the solutions that we're helping the government agencies enable is the customers. So in this case, from a vulnerable population perspective, how do we empower governments to, whether it's freeing up the social worker or the caseworker, so they have more time to dedicate to things that they want to do, like building those connections and helping people. That's why, most of them go into that line of service is to help and to serve. Um, there are multiple different ways from a technology perspective. When we think about, for example, AI, which is really big right now.
Sure.
Now, using a wide range of AI tools, we can really enhance that functionality and improve accessibility to the caseworker, so they can help, so they have a lot more time to free up and so they have a lot more time to spare and to dedicate to those individuals. Capabilities such as summarization, right? So whether it's the call center support automation, helping from that perspective, or semantic search, which is another capability that is available from an AI perspective. An example of that is like self-help, so assisting public in completing forms, providing that equitable access that people need. And all of this combined really adds that efficiency that we need, or that is needed in these spaces, to empower employees and to also empower the citizens, or the individuals, the vulnerable populations, so they live a more meaningful life. And that's where Microsoft helped. Yeah.
It's wonderful because you talk about how what Microsoft does is step one is to identify the mission of the governmental entity that they're working with, so that they can then focus on and help the government focus on constituent services as well.
From a Microsoft perspective, we are all about enabling governments to succeed. So in this case, the caseworkers, the agencies that really support the vulnerable population, and really making sure that whether it's using our apps or building on our apps, that they're able to empower the citizens and really build those connections. I talked a little bit about equitable access, and accessibility, making sure that we can not only help from a citizen side of things, but also the employees, streamlining their operations, streamlining, automating processes, basically freeing them up so they have that time to dedicate to the individuals, and providing really that coordinated care to vulnerable people within the community. So thank you for having me.
Ngozi, thank you so much for helping us understand how Microsoft Government Services are making government more efficient and connecting to vulnerable populations in the process, to bridge that digital divide and to connect and care with the community that it's all about. Ngozi, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.